My name's Eddie Smith from Manchester City Council, and it's my pleasure to welcome everybody this morning onto the stand. This is day 2 of Manchester Stand events. Our theme today is Link. For me, connecting businesses to markets is pivotal to the future success of our city. And how do you really follow yesterday? A fantastic day on the stand. Some great presentations. For those of you who were not able to attend yesterday, I would encourage those of you to download onto your iPads from YouTube the presentations given by Brian Cox, Mike Emmerich, and Rowena Burns. They really do set out what we're about in Manchester and how we see our city developing. Today, Drew has subtly brought the airport into our living room, and unfortunately, Charlie Cornish isn't here today from the airport, but he managed to get inside that airplane. For those of you who've carefully looked at the Airbus 380, but Andy Cliffe's come today from the airport, who's going to set out what's happening with the airport in terms of its future growth and development. And we've also got Karen Campbell here today to give us an overview about Airport City, something which Howard and John Atkins have been working on for several years and given a huge boost by the announcement in 2011 of the Enterprise Zone. And something from our perspective is a critical development for the future growth and success of the city and the city region. And no better example of how we're taking forward our enterprise zone in Manchester, where the airport, as a significant landowner, is transforming its asset base and exploiting its asset base to create a new economic platform that can drive and attract new occupiers to our city region. So, by way of introduction, we've got a short video from Charlie, who's just going to give us an overview on the airport, and then it'll be followed by Andy. Thanks a lot.
The Manchester Airport Group comprises 4 airports. We've got Manchester Airport, which is the 3rd biggest airport in the UK, Bournemouth Airport, East Midlands, and we've recently acquired Stansted. We offer more destinations than London Heathrow. We've got 20 million passengers that pass through Manchester Airport every year. We've got all the premium carriers, Emirates, Etihad, Qatar, British Airways, KLM, Singapore Airways, all of whom operate successfully out of this particular region. Now, in addition, we've got a property business that manages in excess of £500 million worth of non-airport property assets. At the moment, we employ around about 22,000 people on the site, of which 2,500 work directly for Manchester Airport. But the economic contribution in the economy is absolutely enormous. Well, Airport City is one of our more interesting opportunities. It's a concept that was started to develop around about 5 years ago. So we actually want people to come to work, to rest and play in the airport. A concept that's been introduced in 1 or 2 other successful airports. Whilst they're all slightly different, we actually think we've got something new and innovative that will add around about 20,000 jobs to the regional economy over a period of time. We are talking to potential tenants at this moment in time to try and get them onto the Airport City site, and over the next 2 years we'll actually start to see some key developments actually being built on the ground. The rate of growth and economic development in Asia Pacific is enormous in comparison to the Western world at this moment in time. Now again, we need to recognise that the UK and Greater Manchester as an economy trades significantly with Europe and the US. But over the next 10 to 20 years, the growth of Asia Pacific will continue and the rate of increase will grow. So I think it's actually important that we increase connectivity from Manchester into that growing Asia Pacific marketplace. If we do that, I'm absolutely certain inward investment opportunities will come to Manchester.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to see so many of you here this morning. And also just a great thanks to Drew as well for dressing the room in such a fabulous way. And I think if you kind of look closely enough, you'll probably see a pilot in that aircraft who is none too pleased about having his photograph taken, unfortunately. But it is, as I say, one of the signatures for Manchester Airport. It's great to see that aircraft. And I think in lots of ways that is a real sign of the ambition for the group. And the last 12 months since we were last at MIPIM has certainly seen a very interesting, very fast-paced development across the airport group. We've introduced new equity into the group, and most recently, as Charlie mentions in the video, we recently acquired Stansted. And that is a key part of the strategy that we set about 18 months ago to create an internationally significant airports group. It gives us great access into new markets and great growth potential, but builds on a really strong position from our Manchester base. And I think I would say that really that is just the start of our ambitions. It's been a successful 12 months for us, but you will see an awful lot more from us over the course of the next 12 months, over the course of the next 2 years. And within that, Airport City remains absolutely key for us. It is a huge growth opportunity where we can make the best use of our land and available assets and leverage those in order to create a real economic powerhouse for the Greater Manchester region. We will push our passenger numbers through 20 million this year, and in the not too distant future, over the course of the next 18 months, we will push through 22 million, which was the previous peak for the group back in 2007. And by way of recent performance, January 2013 actually saw us post the strongest growth of any major UK airport in terms of passenger performance. So we'll continue to push on. That is a core part of how we grow, how we drive economic activity at the airport. And we see, therefore, that creating the perfect platform from which to push on with Airport City. We've new services coming in. We already have a huge amount of connection over the Middle East, connecting globally important markets in Asia Pacific. But on top of that, we've recently put in place Washington, DC, and we will start Moscow services during the course of this year. And just returning to that Asia Pacific growth, that remains the key market, both to attract inward investment, businesses from those markets into Airport City, and also creating the right route connections that allows all of the northwest economy to flourish with the airport as the key part of that. So we'll continue to target those areas for Manchester. Stansted also we have the same ambitions for in terms of growing those markets, expanding in long-haul routes, but also providing greater short-haul connectivity. And I think one of the themes today that colleagues have set out is the theme of linkage, and that's really, before I hand over to Karen, who will give you some more colour on Airport City, it's just one of the things that I want to talk about a little bit here, because we are a globally connected business. The airport is vital to the success of the Greater Manchester economy in the north of England. We've invested recently with partners across the City Council in Metrolink, which will deepen access into markets, labour markets, that really allow all of the local social and economic conditions to flourish. And we take our role as an economic activity, as an economic generator, very seriously, and that will play a key role for us. More recently, we also have the great news that the airport has been identified as a key stop for high-speed rail. That will provide much greater capacity, certainly across the rail network. That will allow both greater connectivity across the UK, but in creating that capacity will allow local services to flourish and create greater connectivity and provide much greater prosperity for all our community. So that's a kind of transport link, but then the other aspect of link for us is the broader enterprise zone. It's about creating a wider platform of linked economic opportunities with Airport City right at the heart of that, connecting across to Medipark and the other zones, so that we create something that is much more than the sum of its parts. And we continue to work closely with colleagues from the hospital and from the City Council as we promote the wealth and the job creation that comes as part of that. So hopefully that gives you some brief sense of the ambition that the group has got. As I say, you will see an awful lot more for us over the course of the next 12 and 18 months. But what I wanted to do now was just introduce Karen Campbell, who recently joins us from Lend-Lease. She joins us to take forward our Airport City project, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce Karen, who will give you a little bit more colour on that. Thank you very much.